The thing about Christmas proposals is that everyone expects them to go perfectly. Like some Hallmark movie where the snow falls just right and the woman cries happy tears while violin music swells in the background. What they don't tell you is that sometimes the woman spits in your face instead. My name is Jamie Riley, and I'm 33 years old with a decent job in IT consulting and what I thought was a decent relationship. The key phrase there being thought was. Christmas Eve 2024 will go down in my personal history as the night I learned just how wrong a man can be about the woman he loves. The scene was set perfectly. Mom had outdone herself with the decorations, twinkling lights everywhere, garland draped over every surface, and enough Christmas cookies to feed a small army. Dad was in his element, telling the same stories he tells every year while nursing his third eggnog. My sister Kelly was there with her husband and kids, creating that perfect family atmosphere that makes you believe in happy endings. Vanessa Cole looked stunning, as always. She had this way of making every room feel like her personal stage, and tonight was no exception. Her blonde hair caught the light from the Christmas tree, and she wore that red dress that cost more than my car payment. She'd been dropping hints about marriage for months, not subtle ones either. We'd been together for 2 years, living together for 1, and I figured it was time. The ring had cost me 3 months' salary. A classic solitaire, nothing too flashy, but definitely respectable. I'd practiced the speech in the mirror for weeks, trying to get the words just right. When I finally got down on one knee in front of my entire family, my heart was hammering like a construction worker on overtime. Vanessa, I started, my voice steady despite the nerves. You've made these past 2 years the best of my life. I can't imagine a future without you in it. Will you marry me? The room went completely quiet. Even the kids stopped their chatter. Everyone was smiling, waiting for the magical moment when she'd say yes and we'd all cheer and toast to our happiness. Instead, Vanessa looked down at me with an expression I'd never seen before. Cold, calculating, almost disgusted. Are you serious right now? She said, her voice cutting through the silence like a blade. You think I'm going to marry you? Look at this ring, Jamie. It's small and pathetic, just like you. Before I could process what was happening, she leaned forward and spat directly in my face. The saliva hit my cheek and started dripping down toward my jaw. The silence in the room became deafening. I stayed on one knee for exactly 3 seconds, feeling the spit slide down my face while my family watched in horror. Then I stood up, pulled a napkin from the coffee table, and wiped my cheek clean. My movements were deliberate, controlled. Get out, I said quietly. What? Vanessa laughed, but there was something nervous in it now. I said get out. Leave. Now. She looked around the room, maybe expecting someone to defend her, or at least look sympathetic. Instead, she found my mother's shocked face, my father's barely contained anger, and my sister's protective glare. Fine, Vanessa snapped, grabbing her purse. I wouldn't want to marry into this pathetic family anyway. You're all losers. She stormed toward the door, her heels clicking aggressively on the hardwood floor. Before leaving, she turned back one more time. Oh, and Jamie? I've been seeing someone else for months, someone who can actually afford to treat me right. The front door slammed behind her, leaving us all in stunned silence. My nephew, who was only 4, broke the tension by asking, Uncle Jamie, why did the mean lady spit on you? Good question, kid. I was wondering the same thing myself. But here's what surprised me most. I wasn't devastated. I wasn't even particularly angry. Instead, I felt something much more dangerous settling into my chest. A cold, calculating calm that told me this wasn't over. Not by a long shot. I looked down at the ring box still in my hand, then snapped it shut. Well, I said to my family, forcing a smile. At least the eggnog's still good. The next morning, I woke up in our shared condo to find Vanessa's side of the bed untouched. Good. I made coffee, checked my phone, and discovered that my humiliation had gone viral. Vanessa had posted a video on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. Somehow she'd managed to record the entire proposal scene. The caption read, "When your loser boyfriend thinks a tiny ring and public pressure will trap you. Ladies, know your worth. Never settle for mediocrity." The video had already gotten hundreds of likes and dozens of comments. Her friends Elena and Paige were leading the charge with laughing emojis and comments like, "You dodged a bullet, girl," and "He looks so pathetic on his knees." Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible Reddit stories. But that wasn't the worst part. She'd also posted a follow-up story claiming I'd been emotionally controlling and financially abusive. According to her narrative, I was a manipulative monster who'd tried to isolate her from her friends and family. I sat there drinking my coffee, scrolling through the lies, and felt that cold calm from last night settling deeper into my bones. Vanessa wanted to play games? Fine, but she'd picked the wrong opponent. First things first. Damage control. I called my boss, Mr. Hamilton, and gave him a heads up about the social media situation. Hamilton was old school, the kind of guy who still wore suits to casual Friday and believed in handling problems head on. "Riley," he said in his gravelly voice, "I've known you for 5 years. If that woman is claiming you're abusive, she's either delusional or lying. Don't worry about work. Focus on protecting yourself." Next, I called my lawyer and documented everything. Screenshots, timestamps, the whole 9 yards. If Vanessa wanted to make false accusations, I'd be ready. But those were defensive moves. What I really needed was intelligence, and for that, I called Ryan Harper. Ryan had been my best friend since middle school. He owned a gym downtown and had the kind of personality that made people want to tell him their secrets. He was also the type who couldn't keep his mouth shut when he'd been drinking, which made him both a valuable asset and a potential liability. "Dude," Ryan said when I called him, "I saw the video. What the hell happened?" "Long story. Want to grab lunch? I need to talk to someone who isn't related to me." We met at Murphy's, a dive bar that served decent burgers and didn't judge you for drinking beer at noon. Ryan was already 3 beers in when I arrived, which was perfect for my purposes. "I can't believe she recorded it," he said, shaking his head. "That's just cold, man." "Yeah, well, live and learn." I signaled the bartender for a beer. The weird thing is, she seemed so confident, like she knew exactly what she was going to do. Ryan shifted uncomfortably in his seat. "About that." "What?" "Look, I probably shouldn't tell you this, but Vanessa came by the gym a few weeks ago. She was asking about your work, specifically about your clients." My beer stopped halfway to my mouth. "What kind of questions?" "She wanted to know about that big contract you landed with Morrison Industries. Asked if I knew any details about the deal, when it was supposed to close, stuff like that." Morrison Industries was my biggest client, worth about $200,000 a year to my company. The contract details were confidential, but I'd mentioned the general timeline to Ryan during one of our workout sessions. "Did you tell her anything?" Ryan looked guilty. "I might have mentioned that you said it was supposed to close after the holidays. Why? Is that bad?" I kept my expression neutral, but inside, pieces were clicking into place. "Probably nothing, just curious." But it wasn't nothing. Vanessa worked in luxury real estate marketing. She had no legitimate reason to be interested in my IT contracts unless she was planning something, and given what she'd said about seeing someone else, I had a pretty good idea what that something might be. I spent the rest of lunch pumping Ryan for information. By the time we parted ways, I'd learned that Vanessa had been asking questions about my work for weeks. She'd also been unusually interested in Ryan's gym membership roster, particularly the wealthy clients who might need IT services. That evening, I did some detective work of my own. Vanessa's social media accounts were public, and she wasn't nearly as careful about operational security as she thought. A little cross-referencing of her recent posts, check-ins, and tagged photos painted an interesting picture. For the past 2 months, she'd been spending a lot of time at high-end restaurants and bars with someone she never tagged or named. But location data doesn't lie, and neither do reflections in wine glasses. Her mystery man was Tommy Russo, a car dealer who specialized in luxury vehicles and had a reputation for cutting corners. More importantly, Tommy Russo was married. His wife Jessica was a prominent figure in Boston's charity circuit, the kind of woman who could make or break a social climber's reputation with a single, well-placed comment. I leaned back in my desk chair and smiled for the first time since Christmas Eve. Vanessa thought she was playing chess while I was playing checkers. She had no idea that I'd been building databases and tracking digital footprints for a living for the past decade. Time to show her what real strategy looked like. Monday morning came with fresh snow and fresh ammunition. Vanessa's social media campaign had continued over the weekend, with increasingly dramatic posts about her escape from a toxic relationship. She'd even started a hashtag, #KnowYourWorth. What she didn't know was that I'd spent the weekend building a comprehensive dossier on her activities. Bank records from our joint accounts showed expensive purchases she'd hidden from me. Credit card statements revealed lunches and dinners that didn't match her claimed whereabouts. Most damning of all, her phone's location history told a story that contradicted every lie she'd posted online. The first strike was surgical. I called the bank and froze our joint accounts, citing suspected fraudulent activity. Technically true, since she'd been using our money to fund her affair. I also canceled the credit cards I'd added her to as an authorized user. Within an hour, my phone was buzzing with angry texts. "What did you do to the accounts?" she demanded. protected my assets from someone who admitted to being unfaithful, I replied. You can't do this. I need that money. For what? More dinners with Tommy Russo? The text stopped after that. Strike two came Tuesday morning. I'd done some research on Vanessa's workplace and discovered that her boss, Margaret Chen, had a strict policy about employees who brought personal drama into the office. Vanessa's social media posts were public and tagged her company. A simple anonymous tip to HR about an employee making false abuse allegations online was all it took to get the ball rolling. By Tuesday afternoon, Vanessa had been called into a meeting with HR and asked to explain her social media activity. She posted about it, of course, claiming her employer was victim-blaming and protecting abusers. That post was a mistake. It gave me the opening I needed for strike three. Wednesday evening, I met Ryan at his gym for our usual workout. I'd prepared carefully for this conversation, knowing that Ryan's loose tongue could be either a weapon or a liability. How are you holding up? He asked as we started our warm-up. Better than expected. Actually, I wanted to thank you for telling me about Vanessa's questions. It helped me understand what she was really after. Ryan looked uncomfortable. What do you mean? The Morrison Industries contract. She wasn't just curious about my work. She was planning to steal the client. Come on, man. That's a pretty serious accusation. I pulled out my phone and showed him a screenshot of Vanessa's LinkedIn activity. She'd been researching Morrison Industries for weeks, connecting with their employees, and positioning herself as a marketing consultant who specialized in comprehensive business solutions. She was going to use the information you gave her to approach Morrison directly, I explained, probably through her new boyfriend's connections. Tommy Russo sells cars to half the executives in this city. Ryan's face went pale. I had no idea. I never would have. I know, that's why I'm not angry at you. But I need you to understand something. Vanessa played both of us, and she used our friendship to get information she could sell to the highest bidder. I could see the anger building in Ryan's expression. He'd always been protective of the people he cared about, and the idea that someone had manipulated him to hurt me was hitting him hard. What are you going to do? He asked. The right thing. I'm going to make sure she doesn't succeed. Thursday morning, I walked into Mr. Hamilton's office with a folder full of evidence. Screenshots, bank records, timeline analysis, everything laid out in chronological order. Sir, I need to report a potential security breach, I said, placing the folder on his desk. Hamilton opened it and started reading. His expression grew darker with each page. She was planning to steal Morrison Industries? He asked. The evidence suggests she was laying the groundwork, yes? She gathered confidential information about the contract timeline and has been researching the company extensively. Her boyfriend has connections to several Morrison executives. Hamilton leaned back in his chair. What do you recommend? We contact Morrison directly and inform them about the potential breach. We also document everything in case there are legal ramifications. Do it. By Thursday afternoon, Morrison Industries had been briefed on the situation. Their security team was not amused. They immediately flagged Vanessa's LinkedIn profile and put her name on a list of people who were not to be given any company information. But that wasn't enough. I wanted Vanessa to understand that actions have consequences. Friday evening, I sent a carefully crafted message to Tommy Russo's wife, Jessica. It was simple and to the point. Mrs. Russo, I thought you should know that your husband has been having an affair with my ex-girlfriend, Vanessa Cole. I have photographic evidence if you're interested. I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but I felt you deserved to know the truth. I attached a photo I'd taken from Vanessa's social media posts, a reflection in a restaurant window that clearly showed Tommy's face. Nothing inappropriate, just evidence that they'd been together when he was supposed to be elsewhere. Jessica Russo responded within an hour. Thank you for telling me. Can we meet? Saturday morning brought the kind of bitter cold that makes Boston winters legendary. I was having coffee and reading the news when my phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. This is Jessica Russo. Can you meet me at Cafe Luna at 2 p.m.? I'd like to discuss the situation with my husband and your ex-girlfriend. Jessica Russo turned out to be exactly what I'd expected. Elegant, composed, and absolutely furious beneath her polished exterior. She was the kind of woman who could destroy someone's social standing with a raised eyebrow, and right now, all that power was focused on Vanessa. Thank you for reaching out, she said as we sat down with our coffee. I've suspected Tommy was cheating for months, but I needed proof. I'm sorry you had to find out this way. Don't be. I'm grateful. Now I can proceed with my divorce from a position of strength. She opened her purse and pulled out a tablet. I've done some research on Ms. Cole since last night. Her social media presence is quite illuminating. Jessica had screenshots of every post, every comment, every lie Vanessa had spread about me. More importantly, she had connections throughout Boston's social and business networks. I understand she works in luxury real estate marketing, Jessica continued. That's an industry built on reputation and relationships. It would be unfortunate if word got out about her. Character issues. By Sunday evening, Vanessa's world was beginning to crumble. Jessica had made a few strategic phone calls to friends in the real estate industry. Nothing slanderous, just honest observations about Vanessa's public behavior and social media posts. In an industry where discretion and professionalism were paramount, Vanessa's online dramatics were career poison. Monday brought the confrontation I'd been expecting. I was leaving my office when I found Vanessa waiting by my car in the parking garage. She looked terrible. Dark circles under her eyes, her usually perfect hair disheveled, her expensive clothes wrinkled. "We need to talk," she said. "No, we don't." "Jamie, please, I know you're angry, but you're ruining my life." I stopped and turned to face her. "I'm ruining your life? You recorded my proposal so you could humiliate me online. You lied about me being abusive. You tried to steal my clients. And you've been cheating on me for months. But somehow, I'm the bad guy? That's not... It's more complicated than that." "Is it? Because from where I'm standing, it looks pretty simple. You wanted to trade up to a richer boyfriend, but you needed to destroy me first to justify your behavior?" Vanessa's composure cracked. "Tommy promised he was going to leave his wife. He said we could be together. And you believed him? A married man who was cheating on his wife promised to leave her for you, and you thought that was a solid foundation for a relationship? You don't understand. Tommy has money, real money. He could give me the life I deserve." There it was, the truth, finally. Not love, not compatibility, not even basic human decency. Just money. "Well, here's some free advice," I said, getting into my car. "Tommy's wife knows about you now. She's filing for divorce and taking half of everything he owns, so whatever life you thought you deserved. It's not happening." I drove away, leaving Vanessa standing alone in the parking garage. In my rearview mirror, I could see her pulling out her phone, probably calling Tommy to find out if what I'd said was true. It was. Tuesday morning brought a series of increasingly frantic messages from Vanessa. Tommy had confirmed that his wife knew about the affair and was filing for divorce. Worse, Jessica had made it clear that she intended to take him for everything he was worth, including his car dealership. "You ruined everything," Vanessa texted. "Tommy won't even talk to me now." "Actions have consequences," I replied. "You should have thought about that before you decided to destroy my reputation." But I wasn't done, not even close. Wednesday evening, I received a call from Margaret Chen, Vanessa's boss. "Mr. Riley, I hope you don't mind me calling directly. I wanted to discuss the situation with Ms. Cole." "Of course. We've completed our investigation into her social media activity and the allegations she made against you. We also received some concerning information about her professional conduct from several clients." Jessica's phone calls had been more effective than I'd hoped. Margaret explained that 3 different clients had reached out to express concerns about Vanessa's discretion and professionalism. In the luxury real estate market, client trust was everything. "We're terminating Ms. Cole's employment," Margaret said. "I wanted you to know in case she tries to blame you for this as well." Thursday brought a new level of desperation. Vanessa showed up at my office building, demanding to see me. Security had to escort her out when she started shouting in the lobby about how I'd destroyed her career. The video of her meltdown, recorded by building security cameras, somehow found its way onto social media. Not through me, of course. But in the age of smartphones and viral content, these things have a way of spreading on their own. Friday evening, I came home to find Vanessa sitting on the steps outside our condo building. She'd been crying, her makeup streaked and her hair a mess. "Please," she said when she saw me. "We need to talk. I've lost everything. That's not my problem anymore. I'm sorry, okay? I'm sorry about the proposal, about the posts, about everything. I made mistakes." "Mistakes? Vanessa, you didn't accidentally humiliate me in front of my family. You didn't accidentally record it and post it online. You didn't accidentally try to steal my clients or accidentally cheat on me for months. Those weren't mistakes. They were choices." "I know, but nothing. You made your choices, and now you're living with the consequences. That's how the world works." I walked past her into the building. She called after me, but I didn't turn around. Saturday morning, I found her in the same spot. She'd apparently spent the night on the steps, despite the freezing temperature. "Vanessa, you can't stay here. I don't have anywhere else to go. Tommy won't return my calls. My friends won't talk to me. I can't afford my apartment without a job." "That's still not my problem. Please, Jamie, I know I hurt you, but we were together for 2 years. That has to count for something." I looked down at her, sitting on the cold concrete steps in yesterday's clothes, and felt nothing. No anger, no satisfaction, no pity, just emptiness. It did count for something, I said, right up until you spit in my face. Sunday evening brought the snowstorm that had been threatening all week. I was settling in with a book and a glass of wine when someone started pounding on my door. I already knew who it was. Vanessa stood in the hallway, soaked from the snow, shivering and desperate. "Let me in," she said. "Please, just for tonight. I'm freezing." Against my better judgment, I stepped aside and let her enter. She looked around the condo we'd shared, taking in the changes I'd made. Her pictures were gone, her decorative touches removed. It was my space now, not ours. "Thank you," she said, wrapping her arms around herself. "This doesn't change anything." "I know. I need you to understand something. I never meant for it to go this far." "What did you think would happen? You humiliated me publicly, lied about me being abusive, and tried to steal from my company. Did you think I'd just take it quietly?" "I thought you were weak," she admitted. "I thought you'd just be hurt and sad, maybe try to win me back. I never expected you to fight back like this." "That's your problem, Vanessa. You never really knew me at all." She sat down on the couch, looking smaller and more vulnerable than I'd ever seen her. For a moment, I almost felt sorry for her. Almost. "I can't get another job in real estate," she said quietly. "Word has gotten around about what happened. No one will hire me." "Maybe you should have thought about that before you decided to make your personal life a public spectacle." "And Tommy's wife is taking him for everything. She's claiming I'm a co-conspirator in hiding assets or something. Her lawyer says they might sue me too." "Jessica Russo is a smart woman. She's making sure there are consequences for what you did to her marriage." Vanessa looked up at me with tears in her eyes. "How did you do it? How did you destroy my entire life in less than 2 weeks?" "I didn't destroy anything. I just stopped protecting you from the consequences of your own actions. You want to know the truth? I could have done this months ago. All those times you were careless with your phone, all those times you lied about where you were going, all those receipts and credit card statements that didn't add up. I knew you were cheating, Vanessa. I just chose to ignore it because I loved you." "Then why didn't you say something?" "Because I hoped I was wrong. Because I wanted to believe that the woman I fell in love with was still in there somewhere. Because I thought maybe we could work through whatever was making you unhappy." "We still could." "No, we couldn't. Not after Christmas Eve. Not after you made the conscious decision to humiliate me in front of my family and then lie about me online. That wasn't a mistake or a moment of weakness. That was calculated cruelty." The storm outside was getting worse, wind howling around the building and snow piling up against the windows. Vanessa pulled her knees up to her chest, making herself as small as possible. "So, what happens now?" she asked. "Now you face the consequences of your choices. You find a new career, maybe in a different city where people don't know your story. You learn to live with the fact that actions have repercussions. You grow up. And us? There is no us. There hasn't been since you spit in my face." She started crying then, real tears this time, not the manipulative kind she'd used so often during our relationship. I watched her fall apart and felt that same cold emptiness I'd been carrying for 2 weeks. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I'm so sorry for everything." "I know you are. But sorry doesn't fix what you broke." The lights flickered as the storm intensified. In the brief darkness, I could hear Vanessa's quiet sobs and the wind rattling the windows. "You can stay tonight," I said finally. "The couch is yours. But tomorrow you leave, and we never see each other again." She nodded, unable to speak through her tears. I went to my bedroom and closed the door, leaving her alone in the dark living room with nothing but the sound of the storm and the weight of her choices. The next morning, she was gone. No note, no goodbye, just an empty couch and a small puddle of melted snow by the door. I never saw Vanessa Cole again. 6 months later, I heard through Ryan that she'd moved to Phoenix and was working as a waitress at a chain restaurant. Tommy Russo lost his dealership in the divorce and was selling used cars at a lot on the outskirts of town. Jessica Russo had taken him for everything he was worth and donated a significant portion to women's shelters. As for me, I got a promotion at work, partly due to my handling of the Morrison Industries security situation. I started dating again, slowly and carefully, with a much better understanding of red flags and character assessment. Sometimes people ask me if I regret how I handled things with Vanessa. The answer is simple. I regret that it was necessary, but I don't regret doing it. She made her choices, and I made mine. The difference is that I can live with the consequences of my actions. Some lessons can only be learned the hard way. Vanessa learned that reputation matters, that actions have consequences, and that the people you hurt might just hurt you back. I learned that love without respect is worthless, that sometimes the kindest thing you can do is refuse to enable someone's bad behavior, and that standing up for yourself doesn't make you the villain, the ring I'd bought for her. I returned it and used the money for a vacation to Ireland, best investment I ever made. And if I sometimes think about that night during the storm, when she sat crying on my couch while her world fell apart around her, well, I remember the feeling of her spit sliding down my face, and the cold emptiness passes quickly. Some bridges are meant to be burned,